And I've been told that this company really sucks, and I've never thought about why people say it sucks. And then I saw this video on YouTube. It came out a month ago. So I figured we'd watch it and see if there's any amounts of truth to it. It says Bandai, a terrible company no one talks about. That is the name of the YouTube video. So we're gonna go ahead and move over to that, turn off the tunes, and get it cracking, get it started. Let's see.
When you think of the worst entertainment companies of all time, a few names probably spring to mind.
Ooh, let me pause it. Worst entertainment companies of all time. You already put Disney on the screen. Fair. I was gonna say Disney, EA, Activision Blizzard. Disney, EA, Activision, Blizzard, Nintendo, maybe? If you're like a hater of people who don't want to lower the price of their games.
Disney, Activision Blizzard King, Warner Brothers, Ubisoft.
Oh, Ubisoft!
But there is one company I feel isn't talked about enough.
I didn't think about Ubisoft or WB. What's wrong with WB? What'd they do?
Bandai. Bandai Namco, Bandai Spirits, just all of Bandai in general. I think that they are easily one of the worst companies of all time. The company is riddled with problems, but the main reason I hate them is quite simple. Bandai doesn't know how to sell things.
Okay. Wait. I gotta know what they mean by that, because Bandai has a lot of video games, and they sell pretty well, right? Like Tekken 8, Tekken 7, Soul Calibur 6 sold like okay. We can look at, I thought about WB, but I didn't think it'd make the list. I guess for him it did. Right, they have like a lot of Armored Core things. Like they have a lot of games that I think sell pretty well, don't they? You're gonna have to elaborate on that.
There's always some catch or issue.
Tekken mod websites reportedly hit with Bandai Namco legal team threat. That doesn't mean they don't know how to. That doesn't mean they don't know how to sell the game. That means they don't want people modding and stuff that they want to sell you later. They absolutely know how to sell stuff. Okay.
It doesn't matter how good the product itself is. You're going to be subjected to a bad decision somewhere along the line.
Oh,
complicate everything, and when something.
I forgot about this game. Gundam Evolution? This was Bandai? Didn't this game shut down after like a year? Armored Core is a FromSoft game. It's not a WB thing as far as I know. I thought Armored Core was Bandai Namco. I thought Armored Core was Bandai Namco. You'd have to check that. I could be wrong. But this I guess the Gundam IP for like merchandise and games is owned by Bandai Namco, so it makes sense. But I don't think the developer itself was Bandai Namco. I think they outsourced it.
Bullshit. They refuse to fix the problem and instead give up, abandoning projects regardless of
how active. See, shut down at the end of November. I think that was a full year.
Artificial scarcity, and are obsessed with making everything they release a limited time.
Ooh, artificial scarcity. Hey, that's one of the things that we talked about the other day, right? When it came to tricks to make you want to buy or play something as fast as you could because you never knew if you'd have another chance.
When those limited, hard to get items don't sell the massive amounts they want, they blame the franchise or the quality of the item and then refuse to sell more. Bandai makes terrible, self-destructive decisions when producing, releasing,
Dragon Quest? Oh, it's Dragon Ball The Breakers. I forgot about that game.
To sell things.
Bandai Namco published it. Yeah, I figured Bandai Namco published Armored Core. That makes sense.
People have been largely ignorant of Bandai's bullshit, but recently folks have taken notice. With the popularity of the One Piece card game,
oh, dude, they really fucked up with the One Piece card game, man. I hope he gets to it, but they basically made it really hard to find packs for the One Piece card game here in America. I don't know if it's the same way in like Europe. So a lot of people are just quitting the game because they can't find packs reasonably to buy the cards, and if they go on the secondary market, because there's not enough cards and there's too many players for the amount of cards that exist, the cards are overpriced, so people are just quitting the game.
Flood of awful anime games, and the post-launch edition of microtransactions into Tekken 8, people are finally realizing just how terrible of a company Bandai is. I figured now is the best time to get all of my frustrations off my chest.
Yeah, let us know.
And experiences to the discussion.
Let us know.
Who better to tell you why Bandai is terrible than an exhausted Digimon?
Oh, that's so unfortunate. Being a fan of Digimon, that's the one thing that Bandai Namco owns the full rights to. Not just the merchandise, not just the games. They hold the full IP, motherfucker. Oh my gosh, you're as cooked as Tekken players, bro.
Bandai Bandai doesn't actually own a lot of the properties that they make
Yeah.
stuff for. When it comes to big name anime like Dragon Ball or One Piece, Bandai only owns the merchandising rights. This means that they often don't have creative influence over the property. They just handle merch, video games, and so on. However, there are franchises that Bandai makes themselves, intellectual properties that they've got complete creative control over.
Digimon, Tekken, Soul Calibur.
Toei handles all the anime, but for the most part, the franchise is managed by Bandai. And boy howdy do they manage it. Digimon is one of the most mismanaged franchises I've ever adored. The series is constantly
I don't know, man. Bakugan was pretty mismanaged. But okay, I could see you saying Digimon is more mismanaged than Bakugan. Totally fair. Bring back Bakugan. Hashtag bring back Bakugan.
Thrive despite Bandai. I have a personal anecdote that I think highlights this mismanagement perfectly and backs up everything I said at the beginning of this video. A story that shows almost all of Bandai's problems in one fell swoop.
Okay.
A story so infuriating
Hit me with it.
that I've been dying to find an excuse to talk about it for years now.
Oh,
I
he's
have
been
seen my
sitting on
chance,
this.
and I am striking while the
He's
iron
been
is hot
sitting on
and
this story.
petty. So sit on back and get ready for store time with Crimbo. It's a long one. The Digital Monster X for 2 is a
I remember those.
2019. This virtual pet was cool for a number of reasons.
Yeah, I
but the
remember
main thing
those.
was the release of a new evolution.
I hope he's gonna talk about it. I'm sure he is, because I think what happened with those is they had the boards mixed up, or there was like a board error where it was reading the opposite, right? Like kind of like if you think about like Pokemon Gold and Silver. Imagine you bought Gold to try to get to Ho-Oh at the end, and instead you got to Lugia. I think that's how those boards worked. And instead, like they did like a full recall, and then instead of, you know, giving out the right ones or fixing it, they just like repackaged them and like changed the name or whatever. But it was still the same old busted boards. I think that's what he's gonna get out of here.
One of my favorite Digimon, Impmon. He now had a brand new X.
Look at that guy.
And I absolutely loved it. I had to get my hands on this Digivice. There was just one huge problem. I had missed the premium Bandai pre-order window.
Oh my
Now,
gosh.
If you don't know what premium Bandai or
P-Bandai? Yeah,
is,
P-Bandai.
get ready to get mad because
Bandai is all things collectible for Bandai. That's extremely premium, right? Let me explain this. I'm sure he will too. So you pre-order things, and when they pre-order, they don't even immediately come to you. It's where a lot of Gun Plus stuff comes from, like these figures that you can put together. Shout out to Mean Buffalo. He gave me one. It was like a cheap one, but he gave me one to put together. I put it together on stream like a year back, 2 years back maybe, or something like that. This figure's really cool. There's like way more premium ones on the P Bandai website. There's like Digimon, and I think even like Yu-Gi-Oh merch. I don't know about Yu-Gi-Oh, maybe not Yu-Gi-Oh, but they're like a lot of like very strong IPs. They have the premium Bandai store for that.
P-Bandai is bad.
Real? Oh, also, if you miss the pre-order window, you're just fucked. They never re-release it. I think that that's probably something he's going to talk about as well.
P-Bandai is a website that sells exclusive Bandai merchandise that you cannot purchase anywhere else.
Yeah.
This isn't a bad concept on its own, but what makes it horrific is the details of how this website works. First, every single item that appears in the store is a limited time item. This means that there is a specific window of time where you can attempt to pre-order the item you want. If you miss this timed window,
You're
you are
cooked.
completely out of luck.
You're
You can
cooked.
no longer purchase the product. Also,
Unless you go to the secondary market and buy from a fucking scalper, but you don't want to have to do that. You would like to buy the product that you want from the company you want to support them, but instead, they're making it harder for you. Love that.
So, you heard me right. You're pre-ordering, not purchasing. The product doesn't get shipped to you right away. When I ordered this white Vital bracelet back in November of 2021, it didn't ship until January of 2022.
That's like 3 months.
So, you're not going to get the item in any timely fashion. On top of that, the pre-orders can sell out. And for more popular items, this can happen in 5 minutes.
That's
If you miss out on
insane.
getting an
5
item from
minutes?
Bandai, it is fucking gone. The only chance you have of getting it is from scalpers and resellers at a jacked up price. This happens in the Gunpla community
Almost double.
constantly.
See? That's what I
cannot
mean.
tell you how
Gunpla.
many times I've said, wow, cool robot, only to have my dreams crushed when I realize it's a P.
It's what? $920? That's got to be like a different currency, right?
Bandai exclusive.
That seems
now, I
crazy.
missed getting the Digivice I wanted, but there was still one hope. localization. Bandai has been historically bad about releasing Digivices. Despite being the toy that birthed the entire franchise, it was ridiculously hard to get your hands on one without paying an arm and a leg. But then, the Ver 20th was released. It was an improved version of the original Digivice, with added features and multiple shell colors. But most importantly, it was available everywhere for just $20.
Yo, that's pretty good.
Bandai localized the first Digital Monster X Digivice, and it sold well too. So naturally, the Ver 2 was to be localized next. 2021 arrived, and Amazon
The Ver 2's the one he wanted,
got in
I
as
think,
early as
right?
possible,
Yep.
Absolutely thrilled to finally get my
Yeah.
on after 2 years of waiting. A few months later in March, my Digivice was shipped, and I finally got my boy. Or so I thought. You see,
This is the one I thought it was. I think it only happened with the Ver 2, and then the Ver 3 never came out. The Ver 1 was fine. They didn't mess anything up. The Ver 2, they fucked everything up. And then it was a colossal disaster, and they didn't make the third one. I see what he's getting at here. He's saying they give up after they fuck up. Not because it's anyone else's fault. They don't know how to take self-accountability.
there are two versions of the Digital Monster
Told you.
X Ver 2. A red one and a purple one. The difference between them is similar to how Pokemon games are handled.
Oh,
One color has
no!
a different roster from the other. Turns out, Bandai failed to notice a massive production error, where they accidentally swapped the rosters between the red and
Yep,
purple
this is
devices.
exactly what I remember hearing about.
Red Digivices were getting Entmon, while purple folks were getting Agumon. I was one of the hundreds of folks who got a faulty Digivice. And instead of having the Entmon I've been waiting 2 years for,
You got fucking
I had
Agumon.
an Agumon. Bandai later issued a statement saying that the error was the result of a programming glitch, and that they would work with Amazon to make sure returns would be handled appropriately. I could have kept mine as a collector's item, but at the time, I just really wanted my Entmon, and I would have rather spent my very limited money on what I actually wanted. So long story short, I returned the Digivice. I got my refund, and I waited for Bandai to fix the mistake. Problem is,
They
never
didn't,
fixed it.
yeah.
I never got my Digivice.
They just resold them. They reskinned them and
Instead,
resold them.
Bandai took the laziest, shittiest solution possible.
Correct.
So get this. Instead of making new boards and fixing the glitch, Bandai decided to resell the faulty
Told you.
devices with recolored plastic and new packaging. They got rid of the transparent shells and swapped them with new opaque metallic ones. They put Agumon X into a metallic navy case and Entmon X into a metallic silver case. Then they changed the cardboard packaging, swapping gold for silver and silver for gold. The device says silver or gold depending on which version you got, but because of the glitch, it'll say silver, which is correct, but it has the gold roster. It's
That's so
confusing.
funny.
Rather than fixing the boards, they found it easier to just switch the packaging of the already faulty
They
devices.
did it even
This was
worse
done
than
to
I
save money,
thought.
of course. Changing the color of plastic and cardboard is far cheaper than changing a program. Why fix a defective product when you can repackage it and save a few cents on production? After this massive fuck up and insulting fix, Bandai went completely silent. Many people were incredibly confused about what toy came with what content, and they were asking where the transparent purple and red Digivices went. As a result,
So
of all
fucking
of this,
dirty.
I
Yeah,
have
that's
to
what I
assume
say.
that
That's
the
really
two
fucked
did
up,
not meet
dude.
sales expectations, because eventually Bandai deleted their Digimon X product page, all but confirming that they're not localizing the Ver 3.
Ver 3,
Bandai
get
still
good.
to this day hasn't said a word. As of right now, no more American.
Hey, I know how that feels, right? We had a whole Soul Calibur 6, and they haven't said a peep about a Soul Calibur 7, and I think it outsold expectations, and it was made on a pretty small budget, apparently. The lead developer, Achilles Okubo, left or whatever, you know? But, like, I'm sorry, Okubo, Motohiro Okubo? Is that his name? Okubo-san, let's go. He left, but, like, there's still a lot of dedicated members who would probably want to take up the mantle on Project Soul for a 7th entry in the Soul Calibur series, not Soul Blade or Soul Edge. 7th entry in Soul Calibur 7, damn it. But yeah, they've been pretty solid about that too. I feel you. I understand. We got merch, it didn't sell very well. We got like collectible figurines and stuff, and a deluxe edition version of the game that came with like a Sophitia statue. Once again, did not sell very well. I don't think. Yeah, he now works with Grand Blue Rising. I don't know if we're ever getting another Soul Calibur. They've been pretty quiet about it.
American Digivices are in production. We're not getting any more localizations, and the current device, the Vital Bracelet,
Soul Calibur, but it's a Souls-like? Yeah, it's called Soul Calibur Legends.
The only way to get
on the
Digivice
Nintendo Wii.
that I want is
Look it
to
up right now.
import it from Korea. I understand that mistakes happen. Everyone messes up.
It's only
What's
$60.
important is
Stop being
how
broke.
we react to those mistakes and the actions we take to fix them. Even corporations.
He's digivolving right now.
When
Let's
the rate
go.
of death was a rampant problem for the Xbox 360. Microsoft willingly sank $1.15 billion.
I didn't know it was that
into the
much.
repair effort. They did.
I don't have a Switch. You need a Nintendo Wii, not a Switch. Go buy a Nintendo Wii. They're like $20, and then just buy Soul Calibur Legends. You can probably find it on eBay for like 20 cents.
this because they knew that if they didn't make things
But if like
right,
20
it would
cents, I don't have any.
harm their
It's like
brand and
$20.
reputation. Bandai, on the other hand, is willing to repackage a defective product and sell it right
What up,
back
Zach?
to
How
the
you
people
doing?
that returned it in the first place. Then, when that doesn't work for some mysterious reason, they shut down the entire project. Bandai does not know how to sell things.
I don't know if that's true. It's not that they don't know how to sell things, it's that they don't know how to properly fix things that they've already sold or adjust marketing for the things they want to sell. Because if they didn't know how to sell things, then, you know, a lot of their big games would have never sold. But they sell and then they fuck up after. Zach, thank you so much for the resub. 60 months. You're so fucking real for that. Thank you so much. Big smooch on the face. Big smooch. Big smooch. Thank you so much.
They are constantly shooting themselves in the foot and then wondering why it hurts. This company can only see 3 inches in front of their face. Doing anything that will get them.
Yeah, it seems like their stuff is very short-sighted.
Despite the whole incident, I still love Digimon. But if Bandai continued to localize Digivices, I sure as shit wouldn't trust them to do it right.
Please. What? I didn't understand what you just said. Please. Please?
It seems like manufacturing products, you know, the whole thing their entire company exists to do, is too difficult for Bandai. I say this because their #1 favorite practice is artificial scarcity. We already talked about Bandai and the insanely restricted practices that they use on that website. But did you know that Bandai loves to try and pull this shit in retail stores?
What? Oh yeah.
You know
See,
that
I told
right
you.
now it is almost impossible to get your hands on even a single
There's
booster.
too little
The game
stock.
is not available anywhere, and fans are absolutely livid. Bandai is not manufacturing enough cards to meet the massive demand, and they're doing it on purpose. The company is actively producing cards in Japan.
Oh.
And done so.
I'm gonna pause this. For anyone defending for anyone defending Bandai in Japan, they still print OP1 and OP2s. They simply don't care about the Western market, and to make things worse, the only thing that could help in the West in this situation is a reprint set. But since there is no demand for a reprint set in Japan, since they have enough OP1 and OP2 available, there won't be a reprint set in the foreseeable future. I'm gonna make a digital game and only sell limited copies. That's so fucking genius. Oh yeah, you guys should get in on this $8 digital game I made. Only 500 copies though. Gotta get it before it's gone.
That's why. They have the production means available. They have
I don't know,
the
it's
power
just
to
like
work
a
hard, but they are
dishwashing
choosing
simulator.
not to. Why? The reason is simple. To artificially raise demand for their product. Bandai likes how hard it is for you to get their products here in America because it makes them more desirable. If you don't buy that item right now, you may never see it again. Resellers will scoop it up for sure, and if you don't act fast enough, you'll never have another chance to own it. Even if the item is something that you don't really want that much, you may still feel forced to buy it
because
of that
it's
lack of
yeah.
availability. Bandai wants you to feel that pressure in the back of your mind.
It's definitely artificial scarcity.
That is
FOMO.
the behavior that they prey on the most in the
Right.
West. That is why Bandai is so successful. Card games in the West suffer from availability issues enough as it is, with scalping and reselling being a massive problem. Other companies, even Disney and the Pokemon Company, understand
Lorcana.
that this hurts their product in the long run. They make
Yeah, it's very short-sighted. I was saying the same thing about Yu-Gi-Oh earlier. It's very short-sighted to like tax one market extremely heavily, whether it be with artificial demand or whether it be with actual supply chain demand, right? Because supply chain demand, like maybe you actually can't print the cards in the West. Maybe you don't have the infrastructure set up in the West to properly print the cards, localize them here, and get them on shelves. Maybe you print them in the East and then ship them over to the West, and it costs too much, so you don't want to continue doing it, right? Maybe. Why would I buy a dishwashing simulator when I could get married and have the real thing? Either way, I'm going to be broke. Marriage comes with free DLC, though. Did you call the DLC of marriage free? Yeah, are you fucking stupid? You're dumb. But so because I just talked about that, it's interesting to see that Bandai Namco is doing it on purpose as well as Konami, right? But in a different way. Instead of printing cards in a way that it makes them really hard to get from a box, they're just not printing enough of the fucking boxes for other people to get to. The initial DLC install is free. Yeah, that's true. The initial DLC is free. I've never touched a woman. I don't know what marriage is. I hope you're joking.
an effort to fix the supply issues and communicate with their audiences to make things right. Bandai, however, doesn't give a single shit. They, once again, have been completely silent on the issue, and they have the utter lack of foresight to see that this is the sort of problem
This is really bad.
Card games.
Yep.
If players can't play the game, they're not going to. Sales may look good.
Mm-hmm. I think so, right? Like, if you think about it in the way of a boardroom meeting, like, dude, oh my gosh, all of my fucking cards that we made sold out. That's crazy. We got all these sales in the West. you sold 500 boxes because that's all you printed, right? But then instead, if you look at, like, I don't know, selling 20,000 boxes in the West, and you printed 22,000. Oh no, we have overstock. Fuck, our product's in a disaster. Like, that means that's how they would feel. Yeah, selling out is not good. It means you didn't make it. Yeah, exactly. It means that there was more demand for your product, and instead of feeding that demand, you're copping out and saying, well, we sold out of all of our stock. We must be pretty fucking good at this. Let's go.
When products sell out in 5 minutes. You might get a lot of immediate profit from scalpers, but in the long run, you'll be killing any interest folks may have. Bandai doesn't only do this with card games, they do it with absolutely everything. If there is a way to limit a release and create any kind of FOMO, they will do it in a heartbeat. I don't have any overarching.
Dude, just get regular product, but mix in a superior version of it. Yeah, I said the same thing about Yu-Gi-Oh! You're preaching to the choir here, brother. All right? You should have seen what I was talking about before this. The Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG has a card at, like, the highest rarity possible, but in Japan, in the OCG, they have it at, like, the second lowest rarity possible. So in Japan, the card's probably like $15 in the equivalent yen. In America, it's $145 fucking dollars because they didn't print enough of them because they made it the highest rarity possible. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Point with this part. I just want to vent my.
I bet you if more people could afford the card, more people would be playing the game, which means that you'd have more people in the door and ready to spend money on your game. But whatever, you know, I'm not a fucking marketing guy. I cut tarps for a living. I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Laundry list of frustrations, because there are so many more examples of Bandai being stupid and annoying. Come with me, and we'll see why I hate this motherfucking
marketing guy on camera here? Not me.
Is a remake of the first two Klonoa games. The series has a pretty big cult following, and the remake was highly anticipated for many reasons. One of which was
the Bandai game
of these games, as getting the originals can be quite expensive.
I'm sorry, what? How much did that say it was?
Klonoa games. The series has a pretty big cult following, and the remake was highly anticipated for many reasons. One of which was the accessibility of these games, as getting.
Oh my gosh! Loose price $171. Complete price $400. New price $667. Oh my lord! Dog!
The originals.
You know what's funny about this? Bandai doesn't make any money from leaving these games on the secondary market to be bought and resold. Did you know that once a game has been released once and is out of production, emulating it is free, right? But a company doesn't make any money from emulation or sales on the secondary market, but they do make money from re-releases. Did you know that if you just re-released your games all got to shit, people would buy them? I bet you anything normies would rather buy a re-release than emulate a game. For the love of God, what are you doing?
Can be quite expensive. However, for some reason, physicals were only released in Japan and.
So if you want a physical copy of the game, you have to buy it from Japan, and there's a limited amount of them because they only printed them for a small portion of the entire fucking gaming part. Okay.
Europe.
I hate Bandai. I hate Bandai Namco.
So if you want a physical copy, you have no choice.
You can buy digital, so
also,
that's not as important.
The DLC pack is a complete scam and a waste of money. Digimon Survive is a visual novel that was review bombed for being
a visual novel. Visual novel, yeah.
The developers were always very clear about what the game was. A story-focused experience with some RPG elements. Digimon fans who followed its long-delayed development knew exactly what they were getting into, but the average consumer was shown trailers and marketing that focused on the RPG stuff. Bandai didn't make it clear enough to the average Joe what the game actually was. So
okay, bad advertising, yeah.
Expecting a grid-based RPG, they were quite upset to have gotten a visual novel instead. It was a really stupid problem that could.
There's too much text. My brother in Chessmon, you bought a book. I didn't buy this fucking video game because I want to read. me fucking kill other Digimon.
Would have been sold by much clearer marketing. The game was
Yeah, it's
also
definitely just
released
bad
around the same
marketing.
time as 2 other highly anticipated
JRPGs.
and Bandai decided to limit how many physical copies were produced. Miraculously, despite all of this, the game managed to sell pretty well. Gundam Evolution was a free-to-play hero shooter that was shut down after only a year of existing. Despite being a highly praised
I actually liked this game. Can I be honest? Can I put my hand in the air? I liked this game. I didn't like the monetization of it. I'm sure he's going to talk about that. But the game itself was pretty cool. I didn't like that the heroes were going to be paid or whatever, and every new hero that came out was absolutely busted all got the shit, so you had to buy them. If you wanted to like play and not get shit on by the brand new hero, you wanted to use them. But the game overall was like really fun. It was a cool alternative to Overwatch, and they say it up there at the top. But because of how like intrusive and annoying the monetization was, I didn't play it very frequently. Oops.
alternative to Overwatch, the game was killed because of its terrible monetization.
Yeah.
Bandai pushed microtransactions instead of fixing bugs, balance issues, and network problems.
Yeah, there was
When
definitely
folks
some
were buying
busted
into their
shit.
Absolutely worthless live service, Bandai pulled the plug and completely abandoned the project. They later went on to port Gundam Battle Operation 2 to PC.
Did the same
and made
thing.
Many of the exact same mistakes,
Yeah.
proving that they've learned absolutely nothing. Currently, the game is basically unplayable, with matchmaking sometimes taking an hour just for one laggy, buggy match. Also, if you disconnect
Damn, I thought Soul Calibur 6 took a long time to get a match. Did you just say an hour? That's crazy.
to any time, usually due to server-side failures, you can be banned from playing. Speaking of Gundam, Bandai has collaborated with Call of Duty to put mobile suits in Modern
What the
Warfare
fuck?
3
I've never
and
seen that.
Warzone. The anti-war giant robots are now featured in a series that directly supports the United States military-industrial complex. The
I don't
name
think-
is more real.
I don't think that's an issue. I think if you're worried about a game that supports Army recruitment and Navy recruitment or like any sort of armed forces recruitment, you're a bitch. I don't give a fuck, okay? Someone has to do it, and I hope that someone is dumb enough to fall for doing it because they played a video game like Call of Duty or Halo and think, oh, I want to shoot people like that in real life, because I promise you that I don't want to fucking do it. So I could care less. Armed forces need to exist, just like police officers need to exist, and someone's got to fucking do it. I don't want to let some idiot 19-year-old get tricked by Call of Duty. Cool.
Than ever.
Fuck.
Bandai also
Hang
hates
on,
gay
what-
people and doesn't want them piloting their giant
Whoa, what? Okay, Bandai Namco racked over the coals for downplaying lesbian marriage in hit Gundam anime. What? Mobile Suit Gundam, the Witch from Mercury fans reckon there's nothing to interpret here. Like, they're like, hey, they're not even married, bro. What do you guys say? This isn't a lesbian couple. They're just a bunch of gal pals. What the fuck do you mean? Whoa! They're just a couple of besties.
robots. The Digimon trading card game has been struggling in recent years because of massive competition from Bandai themselves. Currently, Bandai has 3 active card games, with a 4th coming at the end of this year. Dragon
else are
Ball
they making?
Super, Digimon, One Piece, and soon Union Arena.
Wait, what? Dragon Ball's still going? Bandai has 4 different card games out? How do they do it? Oh, they don't. Yeah, they don't support their card games. You're right. My bad. What? That seems... I understand that they have the IP for the game, but that means you're also splitting up R&D for 4 different card games or making very similar card games, right? Like, when you think about it, let's look at it this way. Most card games are one of 3 things, right? Resource-based, ruler-based, or Yu-Gi-Oh! or Yu-Gi-Oh, right? So you look at Pokemon and Magic the Gathering, those are resource-based. You need energy or you need mana. You need lands, right? Yu-Gi-Oh is a shit fest. And then ruler-based games are things like Commander, the format in Magic the Gathering, Force of Will, and Dragon Ball, right? What about baseball? That is not a card game. I'm not sure.
Are all competing
question.
with each other.
Next
Bandai
question.
is so stupid that they're cannibalizing their own market by introducing more competition with themselves. This is on top of all the supply issues I talked about earlier, meaning that all of these games can be borderline impossible to get a hold of sometimes. This just makes folks move on to other, more available card games like Lorcana, Pokemon, Magic the Gathering.
Yo, is Lorcana any good? Chat, have you guys tried the Disney card game? I fucking hate Disney, but the card art looks really cute. Is it any good?
And so on. Metroid Prime 4
You didn't say Yu-Gi-Oh! Did you hear that? Hold on.
playable card games like Lorcana, Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, and so on. Metroid
Didn't
Prime
say
4 has
Yu-Gi-Oh!
been severely delayed because Nintendo decided to work with Bandai.
I forgot that they delayed Metroid Prime 4 and it's barely coming out because they had to go back to the original creator of their Metroid series, of the Metroid Prime series. It was made by like Retro Studios for the first 3. And then Bandai Namco made Metroid Other M. And one, it was fucking dog shit. I had that game. I almost broke the disc with how bad that game was. When I finished it, I was so fucking mad how bad they did Samus. Samus was a whiny little bitch in that game. She's supposed to be a badass bounty hunter. Give me back my real Samus! Anyways, so they commissioned or worked with Bandai Namco to create Metroid Prime 4 because they did such a good job with the Smash games, right? Of course, with Sakurai looking over them. But for some reason, they couldn't do the same with Metroid Prime 4, so it got delayed, and I believe now Metroid Prime 4 is back with Retro Studios. So let's see if he says that.
5 years ago in 2019, Nintendo released a very formal video where Shinya Takahashi,
I didn't know it was
Nintendo's
5
senior
years ago.
managing
What the
executive
fuck?
officer, released an official statement. Metroid Prime 4 was not meeting their standards of quality, and they had made the difficult decision to completely restart development
With Retro Studios.
Bandai was given an opportunity to make a mainline installment in one of Nintendo's flagship series. Yet they did such a terrible job that
If you did so bad, then Nintendo said, yo, no, take it back. We're going back. We don't want you guys anymore. You fucked up. That, Cause, I mean, look, they put out the Pokemon games on Switch. So, I mean, how bad could Metroid Prime 4 have been before they switched to Retro Studios? Because they put the Pokemon games out. They were okay with that shit.
it forced Nintendo to scrap all of it and start over. Bandai is a terrible company that does not know how to sell things. They are profitable in the short term, but they're burning all their bridges in the process. People can only take so much bullshit, and it's finally reaching its limit. The company is already losing money.
Wait, what did that say?
People can only take so much bullshit, and it's finally reaching its limit. The company
Bandai Namco posts third quarter slump despite early Tekken 8 success. Uh-oh. Hey, it's almost like you guys spend too much money on the game. It's almost like you guys spent too much money on the game and then expected to make it back through microtransactions that people didn't want to fucking pay for and a $70 price tag. Crazy. Wow.
The company is already losing money. Last quarter,
Despite Elden Ring's success, Bandai Namco's reported loss in profit as 5 games canceled ahead of Shadow of the Erdtree release. So if I'm not mistaken, Elden Ring cost like $200 million to make. And then the DLC costed like $50 million to make. But the game itself has sold over $550 million of revenue. So if Bandai Namco is still losing money, that means they've lost somehow $300 million worth of money. I want you guys to think about that. They have Tekken 8 selling well and Elden Ring selling well right next to each other. Armored Core that probably sold well before that. Somehow they're still losing money and they've lost at least $300 million. We won't talk about if Tekken 8 is in the red or the black. We want it to be in the black because I'm not sure. I don't know. Same with Armored Core. Both of those, if all 3 of those games are in the black, if they all profited and they're still losing money, they're doing something else very wrong.
Bandai Namco started canceling games in order to keep the illusion of profit up for its investors. This company is going to start reaping what they sow, and I hope that they finally start
That's not good.
for the better. I want Digimon to do well. I want the creative people who are trapped in Bandai's management to be able to make the things that they want to make. But that positive change can't come unless the company gets a dose of reality. I want people to be more aware of how awful Bandai is because I want them to fix their shit. I want them to do better, and I want to be able to enjoy the things they make without a million caveats.
Digimon, digital
to keep that
monsters
pressure on them, to keep them accountable for their stupid actions. They won't change until their wallets are affected.
Hey, it's up to us to
Complain about Bandai.
That was pretty good. The end of that was really good. Do you guys hate Bandai Namco now? Did it work? Did this guy's video make you want to hate Bandai? Because it did for me. I didn't think about all of the other bad things they're doing outside of video games. I forgot that they basically have an entire industry of like collectibles that they also sell with artificial scarcity. Though I'm sure they could make more of them. They do the same thing to their card games, which I already knew about because of One Piece. But I didn't realize that it was also bleeding over into Dragon Ball Super and Digimon as well. That's really fucked up. This was a really well put together video, and I gave this guy a subscribe and a like. I think you guys should do the same. If I put this on YouTube, I'm gonna link the video because this video was really good, and I think this guy deserves more subscribers. I hope he makes mucho dinero on YouTube. This has 165K views, and it probably deserves more. This video was very peak, indeed, Zach.